This class is concerned with operations strategy in a global environment. Now, the class is a little long, so therefore I advise you to have a break from time to time, make your own notes, stop the video, rewind it, wind it forward, wind it backwards. Make sure you keep up with what's been said and, as I said, make your own notes. So let's start and look at operations strategy in a global environment. First of all, let's look at the reasons to globalize. Well, there are tangible reasons and, if you like, intangible reasons. First of all, to reduce costs, labour, taxes, tariffs, and so on. So one drive to globalise may be based on costs and trying to find ways of reducing costs whilst entering another market. It could be to improve the supply chain. Perhaps the company receives raw materials or components from overseas, and perhaps the best way to deal with this trading relationship is to globalise, to open a branch in another country or to form a closer relationship with a company in that country. So supply chain issues may lead to globalisation. It may be a desire to provide better goods and services. The company may be concerned about the quality of its goods, the quality of its products on the market, and therefore wishes to have more hands-on control, more hands-on involvement with the production and distribution of the goods. There are different types of globalization. Having said that, I'm here suggesting that this would be a company opening a branch overseas or forming some sort of alliance with a company overseas. It could be simply importing the goods from an overseas supplier and perhaps preparing them for market domestically. It's important to understand the markets, and that may be a reason to globalize. It may be a reason for a company to become involved in global trading because it wants to understand the markets and understand the opportunities that are available elsewhere. So it could be the case that it simply wants to understand the markets. It could be that it wants to improve operations. Sometimes companies become involved with other companies simply because they want to learn the technology, they want to learn the processes, they want to understand how the work is conducted. So there is an incentive on the part of companies to become involved internationally with each other so as to improve knowledge and improve understanding of processes, technical processes, managerial processes, human relations, and so on. And it's learning, and perhaps best described as learning by doing. It could be to attract and retain global talent. Sometimes parts of the workforce may come from overseas, from another country, and they're thinking of going back to work in their own country or whatever, and a company may think it's worthwhile setting up a plant in that other country so as to keep its talented workforce. A possibility. So what we've got here is a range of reasons as to why globalization may take place. Now, developing missions and strategies. Well, a mission statement tells an organization where it is going. The mission statement is a very short statement which simply tells the reader what the organization is about, what it's doing, where it's going, what its ambitions are. So it could be a short paragraph, and that is simply the mission statement. The strategy tells the organization how to get there. So the mission is talking about where it's going, and the strategy is talking about how to get there. Now, that's one interpretation. You'll see in some books that the strategy also sets out the direction, particularly strategic thinking and strategic planning. These issues normally set out the route as well as the way in which the company can achieve its objectives. But this particular view is that the mission statement shows where the company is going, and the strategy tells the company how to get there. It may be that we need to distinguish, in this case, between strategic planning and operational planning. Operational planning is more involved in how to get there, how to make the product, how to organize production, how to organize the company, and so on. So operations planning may be more appropriate in this case. So there's a slight controversy over the meaning of those two terms. I tend to see it as strategic planning incorporates the direction in which the company wants to move, as well as the issues it's confronting and some indication of how it's going to deal with these. So the strategic plan is quite an elaborate document indicating where the company is going. And the mission statement is really a summary of the strategic plan. But as I said, some writers think a lot differently, and some who are very well known in managerial circles will tend to go the route we've got on the slide at the moment. So let's stick with this for a moment and see where it takes us. Now, start with the mission. The mission, well, the focus and direction of the organization. That's what the mission is. It's what the organization is trying to do and where it wants to be in terms of its marketing, product development, investment plans, and so on. So it sets out where the organization is and where it wants to be. It's the organization's purpose for being. Why does the organization exist? Well, the reasons why it exists are really specified in the mission statement. That's why the organization exists. It answers, what do we provide society? What do we provide the customer? What are the products? How important are the products? How important is the company? What's the scale of the company? How many people does it employ? How does it perform vis-a-vis other companies? What are its ambitions? Where does it want to be? And so on. So it answers, or it attempts to answer, that sort of question. It provides boundaries and focus for the business. It specifies exactly what the business is doing. It specifies the limitations of the business, and it specifies the focus. What's it concentrating on? So it says where the boundaries are, where the company starts and ends. What sort of items does it produce? Where is it located? What's the size of the business? What are its objectives? So the mission statement is, as I said earlier, normally quite a brief statement, perhaps a paragraph, perhaps 50, 80, 100 words. And it should specify clearly what the company is, what it's doing, the direction in which it's moving, and what its plans for the future are. Factors affecting the mission. Well, we start with the mission, and it should be very little surprise if we're looking at customers, because businesses do look to customers. It's customers who buy the product, and hence the company generates the revenue from the customers, which enables it to continue in existence. So it's the customers and how the customers see the mission and how they're treated according to the mission statement. What does the company think of the customers? What's the company trying to do? Generally speaking, companies will specify that they are trying to supply good value for money, good quality product, produced in an ethical fashion. What's the environmental impact of the business? How does it cope with the environment? What are its philosophy and values? What was it attempting to do? Is it attempting to make lots of profit and that's it? Or is it attempting to provide a quality product to customers and hope to exist in the market for a long period, creating employment, being a part of the community, making profit, but at the same time presenting itself in a way that makes it acceptable as a part of that society. It's acceptable because of its values, because of the way it runs, because of the way it treats its workers and its customers. It's careful about where it buys its raw materials and its components to make sure that there's no abuse within its own supply chain. So what are its philosophy and values? And what does it think about profitability and growth? Does it have ambitions to grow? And if it does, in what direction? Does it want to grow the existing product? Does it want to expand overseas? Does it want to... how does it want to grow? And how does it generate the profitability to finance the growth? What's the public image of the business? How do people see the business? Do they see it as a good business, a responsible business, one that's careful with the environment, careful with its workers, careful with its image? And out of all of these comes the benefits to society, the benefits to having the company as a part of the society. Now, sample missions. Well, sample company mission could be to, let's say, something like to produce and deliver an innovative, growing and profitable worldwide marketing business that exceeds our customers' expectations. So it doesn't say a lot if we think about it. It's innovative, it's growing, it's profitable, it's worldwide, it's a marketing business, and it tries to meet customer expectations and exceed the customer's expectations. Now, a simple operations management mission is to produce products consistent with the company's mission as the worldwide low-cost manufacturer. So you see, we have the mission statement, and then we have, if you like, operational mission statements. We could have mission statements for different departments within the business. And all of these individual ones add up, sum up to the company mission statement. Sample operations management department missions. Well, product design, to design and produce products and services with outstanding quality and inherent customer value. So the operations management have this desire to create products and services with outstanding quality. Their commitment to quality is the focus of their mission statement. They could also have quality management to attain the exceptional value that is consistent with our company's mission and marketing objectives by close attention to design, procurement, production, and field service operations. In other words, it's a part of their mission. It's a part of the operations management mission to supply good quality and to ensure there's good quality management to enforce their desire to be seen as a supplier of quality products. In the terms of the process design, to determine, design and produce the production process and equipment that will be compatible with low-cost product, high quality and good quality of work life at economical cost. Presumably by economical cost it means low cost. We can see here that the idea is that the operations management department have got its own set of mission objectives. And what these are doing are contributing to the overall mission statement of the organization. So the operations management will have one, but the HR department should have a mission statement as well. And different departments within the company will have their own individual statements, all contributing towards the overview, which is the company or the organization's mission statement. So we have sample organization management department missions. The location: to locate, design and build efficient and economical facilities that will yield high value to the company, its employees and the community. Layout design: to achieve through skill, imagination and resourcefulness in layout and work methods, production effectiveness and efficiency while supporting a high quality of work life. Human resources: to provide a good quality of work life with well-designed, safe, rewarding jobs, stable employment and equitable pay in exchange for outstanding individual contribution from employees at all levels. So the operations management department have different aspects to it. It has location, layout design, human resource, product design, process design, and each one of these may have its own, if you like, mini mission statement. And as I said earlier, all of these will then contribute towards the overall mission statement of the organization. So the various departments will have their mission statements, and they may break down within the department, as in the example we've got here. The operations management department breaks down its missions into different headings: location, layout design, human resources, and so on. Product design, process layout, so on and so on. So all of these contribute towards the company mission statement. Now you'll note something else here about the mission statements is they're at a very high level of generality. There's no detail here. These are aspirational: to locate, design and build efficient and economical facilities that will yield high value to the company, its employees and the community. Very general statement. There are no benchmarks here. There's no clear objective set. It doesn't say it will build a facility of so many square meters, and it doesn't say it's going to have location in several different areas and name the areas. It's very generalized statements. All of these statements are generalized, as is the organization's mission statement. Very generalized statement as well. So sample operations management missions. Carrying on, chain supply management: to collaborate with suppliers to develop innovative products from stable, effective and efficient sources of supply. So the operations management is just carrying on. It's looking at everything it's doing and developing a mission statement for it. But as I said, these statements are very general, very non-committal almost. There's no data here. There are no benchmarks that must be achieved. There are no red flags being established here. There's nothing that's going to stop or worry or whatever. This is just what they are aiming to do. It's very generalized. In terms of inventory, to achieve low investment in inventory consistent with high customer service levels and high facility utilization. Generalized. But at the same time, it's aspirational. That's what they want to do. scheduling, to achieve high levels of throughput and timely customer delivery through effective scheduling. What effective scheduling is difficult to say. It's not specified. It's generalized. Maintenance, to achieve high utilization of facilities and equipment by effective preventive maintenance and prompt repair of facilities and equipment. Prompt repair. Does that mean immediate or within a week or prompt? Not quite sure. But it really doesn't matter. It's aspirational. It's what they want to achieve. Prompt is prompt. They know what it means. It's the common sense prompt. So the operations management have got lots of sub-missions, if you like, lots of minor missions, all contributing to the operational department's overall mission, which contributes towards the overall organizational mission. And as I said earlier, many times, all of this is at a high level of generality. Now, strategic processes, well, the organization's mission. Then there are the functional area missions. So the organization is the overarching organization. Then the functional ones, the operations management, the HR, the marketing, and so on. All these functional areas, they'll have their missions. And these are all, it's a two-way process here. The organization's mission drives the functional area missions, which drives the minor missions, if you like, the smaller missions, the marketing one, the operations, finance and accounting, and so on. But they also, it feeds back into the organization's missions. They specify what they can do, the areas they're concerned with, how they're going about their work, and they all want to supply excellent service. So it goes back to the organization that the organization wants to be excellent. As I said, very generalized statements, but at least they indicate what the various departments are taking responsibility for, and they're specifying that they are committed to producing high quality goods cheaply, efficiently, effectively, and so on. Strategy, well, it's an action plan to achieve the mission. So this is the action plan to achieve the mission. As I said right at the very start, different books, different literature have slightly different takes on this. I would see strategy as including the direction in which the business is travelling, as well as its more detailed objectives. And then it goes to the operational strategies to implement the changes required, implement the processes that are required in order to achieve the organizational strategy. And the mission I would see as a summary of the strategic plan. But different writers take different routes, as I said, and the emphasis here would be to look at the strategy as an action plan to achieve the mission. So the mission is setting out where the business wants to be, and the strategy plan is setting out how to achieve this. It's the action plan. Functional areas have strategies as well. So the functional areas can normally perform their functions in various ways. So they must have a strategy as to which one to select. Strategies exploit opportunities and strengths. They neutralize threats and avoid weaknesses. So in terms of a SWOT, the strategies try to play up the opportunities and the strengths and play down the threats and the weaknesses. So strategies for competitive advantage. Well, differentiation. It's the optimum strategy in many respects is to try and make the product different, to make the image of the business different, to the competitors. And if it makes the product different and the product is successful, then in effect it has created a small monopoly for itself. So it will enjoy the fruits of no competition because it has differentiated away from the rest. Then there's cost leadership. Well, cost leadership it means make the business the cheapest producer, so that the other companies who are in competition must follow that company. They can't upset it. If it cuts the price, they can't compete. It may drive them out of the market. So cost leadership may be a strategy to deal with competitive advantage. There are many companies, let's say, who are trying to compete in the same market. If one of them is a very efficient producer, produces cheaply, then that company can dominate the others. Have a rapid response to changes in tastes, changes in the market. Be able to respond quickly and efficiently to changes, and in that way lead the other companies. Don't wait for the other companies to take the initiative. When a change in fashion or a change in society occurs, then try to configure the product in a way that meets the requirements of the change. Do it fast. The faster it's done, the advantage of first mover will accrue to the company. The other companies who are slower to respond, they will have to catch up. Competing on differentiation. Well, uniqueness can go beyond both the physical characteristics and service attributes to encompass everything that impacts customers' perception of value. So differentiation can be, very crudely, it can be physical. The product could look different texture, different color, different design, different functionality. It's still in competition with other companies who are making similar products. But it could be different. It could be made to be different and hence more attractive, and it becomes almost a local small monopoly within that market because of its differentiation. But it's also possible to differentiate a product through psychic means, through psychological processes, to make the purchasers believe that this product is superior, this product is better. So it's possible to use two types of differentiation. Now, competing on cost, well, provide the maximum value as perceived by the customer. Customers have an idea about what good value is, and when they see a product and they think it's cheap but it's good quality, that's value for money. And customers like that. They like to think they're getting good value for money. They have scarce resources, they have scarce amounts of money, and they want to get the best they can for their limited resources. Competing on cost doesn't imply low quality. It shouldn't do that. It should mean that the company is projecting an image of efficiency and high productivity. That's why it's low price. Not low quality. It's a reflection of the efficiency of the business. Competing on response. Well, flexibility is matching market changes in design, innovation and volumes. It's important that the business keeps up to date, keeps an eye on what's happening in society, what are the trends and the fashions, and what are the movements in society, and trying to generate products which match the requirements of the society. So the company should be flexible. It should be able to change over its production from one item to another according to what the society want, what the fashions are and what they believe are required by the customers in the society. They should have reliability. That's the same as meeting schedules. Reliability is meeting schedules. It's reliability is doing what is promised. So when they promise to bring out a new product on a certain day, they should do that. That means they're reliable. When they say an item will be for sale in a certain area at a certain time, it should be. That's reliability. So reliability is meeting schedules. Timeliness is quickness in design, production and delivery. So timeliness is important. It's important to be able to redesign a product or observe some movement or some fashion in society or some change in society, observe it and then design a product fast, efficiently to meet the requirements of the society and bring it to production fast and get it into the market. In that way the company can be prime mover, can be the first mover in the market and will gain the advantages from that. They will be seen as an efficient company, one who identified the requirements of the society and got a product out quickly. Organizational management's contribution to strategy. Well, there's cost leadership, as I said before, trying to keep the product cheap. In other words, trying to produce more for the given set of resources that are available to the operations department. Try to get the response faster. Try to look at changes that are required and having the flexibility to change the product, change the delivery, change the logistics, change whatever it is that's required and get it to market faster. That's having a faster response rate. And differentiate the product. Always look for ways in which the product can be varied. It can be varied in terms of design, texture, size. See how the product can be changed, and so it develops a reputation. The company develops a reputation for being an innovative company, producing a good quality product, but one which has a freshness about it. It's new. It's differentiated. Organizations management contribution to strategy. Well, the key operations decisions. Well, the key operations decisions are very quickly. They're looking at what the product is. What is the product? What's the process? Well, the process is largely dependent on the product. So the process of buying the product in from overseas or buying the product in from suppliers domestically or making it in-house, whatever the process is, the complexity of the process will be dependent upon the complexity of the product. Where should all of this happen? Where should the company be located and why? How should the company be laid out? How should the company be designed? What are the premises? How should it be designed? And what's the impact of the internet and advanced communication systems on layout? Does the company have to have a traditional layout, or could it vary the layout because of the better communication systems? What are the human resources that are required? What particular skills are required, and what training programs are needed to bring about the strategy, to enable the strategy to be effective? What human relations, what skills in the workforce, and what relationships must the management have with the workforce? What agreements must they have about training, remuneration, hours of work, terms of employment, and so on? What's the supply chain? Who's going to supply the raw materials, the components, the equipment? Who's going to make the deliveries at the end? How is the product going to be taken to market? How will it be delivered to the customer through warehouses, through wholesalers, through retailers? How exactly will it go out? Will it be sold online? What's the inventory policy? Should it be JIT, just produce as the orders come in, or should it be produced to stock? And what's the scheduling of production? How should it be scheduled in a way that optimizes the use of the capital and the machines, as well as the workers? But how should it be scheduled? And what's the maintenance policy? How should the equipment and the buildings and everything be kept in good condition? What's the maintenance program within the operations field? It may be useful to conduct a SWOT analysis on, well, just about everything within the business. It could be conducted at the operational level. It could be conducted at the overall strategic level. We normally think of SWOT as applying in terms of competitor analysis and looking at the positioning of the business in total within the market. But you could look at a SWOT type analysis for virtually any process within the business. So you could start with analysis and look at the internal strengths of the business. Let's say you're talking about the business or one of the departments. You could look at the internal strengths of the department or of the business. So what are its strengths? Perhaps having skilled workforce, having new machinery, having better designed layout or good communications facilities. What exactly are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What is it that the management have to spend a lot of time trying to fix and keep running? What are the weaknesses of the business? What are the opportunities within the wider society? Even for, say, an operations department, the external opportunities may be to acquire more skilled workers, or it may have opportunities to talk to educational institutions for the supply of workers with particular vocational skills. Or it could be opportunities because new companies are coming into the area and there's better logistics and better communication systems as a consequence of general growth in the area. There are also threats, and the threats are external. These could be from other companies who want to take part of the market share and who are perhaps copying working practices within the business. So the mission statement can include all of these points. It would have to be written in a way which makes it very bland and very presentable, but it does address, or it should address, what exactly the business is confronting in terms of the threats and the weaknesses, what it's confronting. But it should also look at the opportunities and the strengths, because these are positives. And out of the analysis, the strategy arises. Now, strategy development process. Well, analyze the environment, identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, understand the environment, understand the customers, the industry and the competitors. So it must start with an analysis of the environment. This is at the most general level. This is what the company must do to start, because the company must understand the environment in which it's going to operate. Then determine the corporate mission. State the reason for the firm's existence and identify the value it wishes to create. So having analysed the environment, then it's the time to set out its mission. What does it want to do? Where does it want to position itself? What does it want to achieve? What are its values? And form a strategy. Build a competitive advantage such as low price, good design, volume flexibility, quality, quick delivery, dependability, after-sales service, broad product lines. So it's forming a strategy. The strategy is to enable it to achieve its mission objectives. And the mission objectives recognize the environment in which it operates. So we have the three components that are essential in the derivation of a good mission statement. Now, strategy development and implementation. Well, identify key success factors. That's important. See what the company is doing well. Make a note of what it's doing well, because these are key success factors. They should be encouraged and should be treated with care, just in case too much modification or too much effort to try and further improve them may actually damage them. So they have to be treated with care. But identify the key success factors. Make a note of these, because these are important. And it's important to build and staff the organization. In other words, build the organization in a way that's logical. Look at the design of the organization, who's responsible for what. Look at the staff and try to match skills, staff skills, to particular tasks. So there is a logic in the way the staff have been allocated. Integrate operations management with other activities. Make sure that the departments don't become isolated and start working on their own. They must be linked, and there must be mechanisms to ensure good communications between them, and they each understand the importance of the other. So there's no empire building. There's no psyche which suggests that one department is more important than the other department, and one department needs special treatment, and so on. It should be seen as one organization with various components. So there should be quite understanding of each other's role. Now, the key success factors, the key success factors are support a core competence and implement strategy by identifying and executing the key success factors in the functional area. So take the key success factors. What is it the company is really good at? Because these really are the core competencies. These are the essential benefits that the company can reap from having skills and having ideas and being innovative. And implement a strategy. Implement a strategy that looks at the key success factors and the core competencies and builds on those. And builds on them, filtering it down to the functional areas. So the functional areas understand their contribution, and they also try to raise their standards to supplement what was identified as core competencies at the organizational level. Now let's take marketing, finance, accounting, and production operations. Let's take these three just to put some more detail into this discussion. Well, in marketing we have service, distribution, promotion, channels of distribution, product positioning, image, and functions. So these are really the emphasis of marketing. There are others, customer relations, research, knowing the market, understanding the shifts in the market, networking. There are many others that we can add in here. Now with finance you have leverage, you have the borrowing potential of the business, you have the cost of capital, working capital, what's received, what's payables. We have financial control, lines of credit. So out of these there has to be greater focus on achieving high levels of skill and performance within each one of these Each one of these areas needs to be developed. So the company is skilled at working out its working capital. It understands where its accounts are, its receivables and payables. It understands the importance of financial control. And the same with marketing. It's important that the marketing department understand the distribution channels, understand the marketing mix, understand the service provision, understand the support that customers require, and so on. And out of developing these, the core competencies are strengthened right throughout the organization. With production and operations, we'll go to the next slide to look at it in more detail. It's quite a lengthy one. But the point I'm making here is that at the organizational level, it's important that the stakeholders, the owners of the business, identify core competencies and understand their strengths before they even start the business, because there's no point in starting it if they see the organization as weak. They're going to see it as having strengths. But then there are functional areas, and each of the functional areas have tasks to achieve, and each of the tasks must be developed, highly developed. So they also become, in a sense, core competencies. So now the organization is exhibiting strength right from the base to the top. And the overall mission statement of the organization is genuinely talking about core competencies and strength. It's genuinely talking about it because it does exist at the functional levels. It's been developed at the functional levels. So it permeates the whole organization. Now let's look at the production operations side. I'm just going to give a list of headings here and go through them very quickly, and that will more or less complete this this class. So, key success factors, production and operations. Well, the product. You have to decide if it's customized or standardized. If it's customized, it's more expensive. There's more involved, more consultation with the customer. Standardized, a fixed design, and easy to produce in the sense that machines can be customized to make it, and the workers will build up an expertise in making it as well. They will learn by doing. So we start with the product. Quality. Define customer expectations and how to achieve them. It's important to know what the customer expectations are. It's important to collect information, perhaps through focus groups, through surveys, through contact with customers at the point of sale. Getting customers' opinions and feeding it back in so the quality can be further enhanced. The process. Look at the facility size, the technology and the capacity. Look at the capacity of the business. How much can it produce? What size is the current business? Look at the technology it uses. Can it be improved? Is it worth improving it? The location. Should the product be produced near the customer, or could it be produced far away? If it's a service, say an account service, maybe it's possible to move it away from large population centres, because it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to shift large amounts of items to the customer. What's being moved at the end is essentially information, which can be easily sent or delivered. But some items might be very bulky, very heavy, maybe quite a big volume, and they should be located, production should be located near where sales take place to minimize on handling costs and transportation. Layout, well, work cells or assembly lines. How is the company organized? How is production organized? how are the machines laid out, how are the different departments laid out in terms of administration. Where's the accounts department relative to the computing department next to what, to marketing, and where's procurement and so on. So the layout might be important. It depends on the product and it depends on the volume of work being conducted. Human resources are certainly important. They need to be quite specialized. They need to be able to perform the functions, and they need to have enriched jobs so they don't get bored and want to leave. They should be motivated at work, and they should be well remunerated. So they should be recognized for the contribution that they're making. The supply chain, well, single or multiple suppliers. All sorts of issues have to be resolved. Is it worth going with a single supplier? What if there's an issue with a single supplier and single supplier becomes unreliable? If there are multiple suppliers, it's extra costs, and perhaps the company's not able to negotiate good discounts because it's operating with so many suppliers. Inventory, when to reorder, how to keep it on hand. So inventory policy. Overall, companies don't like holding a lot of inventory. It's a dead weight loss. Items in the stores are not earning a return for the business. They're just sitting there. So the problem is when to reorder and the amounts to reorder. Excuse me. Clearly that will depend on the quantities that are being produced. Schedule, well, is it possible to have a stable production rate so that the machines are running at a constant rate, or do they fluctuate depending on demand, depending on other orders that have come in and switching over production to meet the other orders? Or so what sort of scheduling policy is there? And maintenance, well, repair as required or preventive maintenance? That's the policy. Do you fix the machine when it's broken down, or do you engage in preventive maintenance to stop it breaking down in the first place? So these are the so-called key success factors in terms of production and operations. Now let's just finish off this class. I said it's a long class, but let's just finish it off by looking at 4 international operations strategies. We have global strategy, international strategy, multi-domestic strategy, and transitional strategy. Global, standardized product. International, import or export. So with a global one, it's a standardized product, one product cutting across the boundaries. It's produced in one country and sold in a different country. International strategy, import or export a product. The decisions here are to import or export. Globalized, it may mean having a presence in the other country. Multi-domestic strategy, using existing domestic model globally. So it looks at how the company is organized at the moment domestically within the country, see how many plants it's got, how it organizes distribution, how it organizes production, and then takes that model and applies it globally. The transitional strategy, move materials, people and ideas across national boundaries. Sorry, transnational, I should say. The transnational strategy. Move materials and people and ideas across national boundaries. It gets over tariffs, it gets over quotas, it gets over problems of shipping and handling at ports and so on. Simply produce it in the other country. And what's been moved is essentially the ideas. The experience of running the business in one country can then be moved to running the business in another country. it'll confront different issues and different problems, but perhaps the core problems will already have been encountered and solved before it moved. So we have the transnational strategy, the multi-domestic strategy, taking existing production ideas and moving those to a different country, moving the model to another country or other countries. And so what we've got then is ways of dealing with international operations. Of course, with global strategy, we would expect economies of scale, economies due to size. We expect the company to be able to produce mass output and benefit from being able to produce on large volumes. In the international strategy, well, license an existing product. That's usually a good tactic. Find a company who's got similar technology, similar products to the one that's been set up overseas, and try to arrange a licensing agreement so that that company produces the company's own product. So the licensing company produces the product for the company who wants to engage in international trade. Multi-domestic, well, franchise the model globally. If the product is successful domestically, then franchise it. See if it works in different markets, and enable producers overseas to produce it and sell it, and simply franchise them to do it. The transnational strategy is to try to gain economies of scale, as I said earlier. With the global strategy, there is cross-cultural learning. It's important to work out how production takes place in different countries, what's important to different people in different countries. So there's cross-cultural learning. There's nothing really on the international strategy that can be identified in terms of this. But multi-domestic strategy, well, franchise, it could be joint ventures and it could be subsidiaries. So there are different forms of production that can take place. And again, on the transnational, it's a question of cross-cultural learning, trying to find out how to best produce the product, given the fact that people work differently in different areas of the world and have different approaches to work. So we've covered a lot of ideas in this session. As I said it right at the outset, it's important that you go back to the beginning, run the video slowly, make your own notes, think about it, do some research, pad out your notes, and try to ensure that you have a good idea of the issues involved in looking at the mission for the organization, the mission for the various departments, how they're linked, what's the relationship with strategic planning, what is the operational planning objectives, looking at the individual mission objectives of the various departments, and moving on to the global discussion towards the end. But that's all I'm going to deal with in this session, so we're going to leave it at that and say thank you for watching.